We will call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on claims.
Tonight you're being requested to recommend approval of claims in the amount of $347,608.36.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on regular operators licenses.
Tonight you're being requested to recommend approval for 6 regular operator licenses for the period of March 26th, 2019 to June 30th, 2020 to Andrew Claypool, Cole Kristen, Scott Fagala, Jared Johnson, Aaron Stanaway, and Ingrid Swenson.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on temporary beer wine license for the Hudson Hockey Association for an event April 5th to the 7th, 2019.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Discussion possible action on letter of engagement with SEH for St. Croix Street Sanitary Sewer Extension. Who'd you bring with you?
Kip.
Reluctantly. He thought he needed backup.
So recently, Xcel Energy, they own property at the end of St. Croix Street, so the far west end, the north side. We have an old well house there currently. It's where the gravel parking lot is. That is slated for a future trailhead facility. That property is not currently set up for sewer service. It's below our existing lowest sewer on First Street. So as Xcel was looking at their property, they did some environmental monitoring and research and found some contaminants. Nothing dangerous, but enough that they want to go in there and clean up the site. With that, it was discovered that there's a homeowner's septic system. One of the few septic systems we have in town here is partially encroaching on Xcel's property. So they'll need to vacate that facility. What this would do, this project would allow for us to have sanitary sewer down at the end for a future trailhead facility, as well as get that homeowners off the well and septic with their own sanitary system. So in terms of funding, there's 2 areas that this could come from. I think I'm personally open to either one. One is an interfund loan through TID 6 that we'd eventually pay back. The TID would loan the money and then we'd pay that back over time, or the undesignated capital fund. So
Mike, did I see a deadline for June 9th or 10th and kind of a
they're
ending letter? And
yeah, they're mobilizing quickly to get that done. I get that.
Well, why don't they pay for it then? Now, I don't know the backstory and I don't know the underlining story, and I'm not trying to be a bad,
Sure.
tough guy, kind of.
Yeah.
Why don't they pay for it if they're in such a hurry?
They have indicated that they are going to also do a trail facility to extend that trail. So they're going to clean up their site and also construct the trail to connect onto River Street. I think their thought is well, they don't need the sewer, right? And the issue between the 2 property owners is just that it's an issue between the 2 of them, and I don't think that they're in any interest to participate. We've asked.
So we're getting involved because we have a future
Plan.
for it.
Yes.
So what are they doing with the property now, or are they not, is anything being done on that property?
Not currently. It's if you drive to the end and you look to your right of St. Croix Street, you'll see the power lines all go through there.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be cleaning up that entire area.
And will the homeowner be charged for anything?
Not currently. The current proposal from Kip and I would be that we would do the installation of the grinder pump at that location, and the homeowner would be responsible for maintenance of that in perpetuity.
Didn't we talk about the purchase of that land from them? Is that
Correct, that was that property.
for like $1?
Yep, but they need the property, so the thought is that they would grant us an easement for public access.
A perpetual easement?
Yep.
Okay. I'll move, we approve.
Second.
Motion is second to approve. Any further discussion?
What would you like the funding source, the undesignated? or-
TIF.
TIF.
Are we deciding that tonight?
What's on there too?
Well, for the LOE, we'll have it come back for the rest of the project.
This is just for the letter
It's
of
for the
engagement.
23,000 to get us to develop the plans.
So.
Or is it 23,000? I
TIF,
think it was.
TID is
TIF is fine,
Yeah,
unless there's,
that workable, Mike? Yes.
I think so. Yep, it sounds like it. I talked to Sean, who
Okay.
said it was something that we could do.
When are we going to get money in there?
January 1 of next year.
well, it'll come back to us if there's an
Yeah,
issue.
over time.
Yeah.
Yep.
At what interest rate?
I don't think it works like that.
Okay.
The Bank of
Kip,
Johnson.
anything?
Yep.
I was just here.
I mean, come on, you're here.
I was just here if you had questions on how it was going to be installed or anything.
Anybody got questions for Kip?
Yeah, how come you don't come to our meetings more often?
Because I have a commission that I go to.
Oh, you like your funding?
Oh,
My commission does a fine job.
Ah,
there'll probably be questions at the council meeting.
Yeah, I stick around. I plan on sticking around.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible action on purchase and installation of 2 sets of crosswalk warning systems on Hanley Road at O'Neill Road and Heritage Boulevard.
All right, so this went in front of Public Safety Committee last week, and basically what it is on Hanley Road, there was preliminary plans to install crosswalk signs at O'Neill and then again at Heritage, just because of we have a trail that crosses Hanley at those 2 intersections. It was originally kind of put aside because we didn't know where the numbers were going to come back, the overall project costs. Well, we've got some preliminary project estimates that were going to be about $40,000 under budget. So what we're requesting, or what Public Works is requesting and Public Safety, is to utilize those remaining funds to purchase these 2 sets of crosswalk signs and install them per the recommendations provided by SEH.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion second to approve. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Thanks, Mike. Discussion on process for city administrator recruitment.
I sent out different information to all of you about, basically, we can do it in-house, and by meaning in-house, not we're hiring in-house, but that the process would happen in-house, or the other option would be use a recruitment firm. So I sent information out. I don't know if you have any questions or comments or which direction. Before I started down one path, I wanted to make sure that you knew those options were out there, so.
I think a recruiting firm would probably be a good idea in this case.
Would cast a wider net, right? And just to coin a phrase.
Yeah.
And also, I think find the right fit for us, for what we're looking for.
Well, how much money are we gonna spend looking at? You had some high numbers in there.
Well, I think the 2 that I found when Winneconne did this, and they're a smaller community, but one came in at, I think, 7,000, one came in between 8 and 9, depending on which method you go, and one came in at 14 or 15. I know there's a firm out of the Twin Cities that does it. They're recruiting for a finance director in North Branch, and theirs was in the 12 to 14 range. So I would say you're looking between 7 and 10, depending on and I think it varies on what you want them to do. Because in the one example I sent you, they'll do, during the recruitment process, one of them, what was the Village of Swamico, they used Hudson is Wonderful video. I mean, a promotional thing where they showed the community and they had the village president talk, and those are options you don't have to do, and obviously with the more options you choose.
And do we get to decide the time frame?
Well, what they'll do is I'm sure the proposal, I'll ask, if you go that direction, I'll get proposals in, and I'm sure they'll have a tentative timeline similar to what I put together, but you guys can, you know, if you want things done on a different timeline, you know, that's up to you. I think the process normally is they will come in and meet with you and whoever else you want them to meet with, and then put together, look at the job description and do all those things. And it can be done either way, but I just want to make sure you guys had the options available.
All right, so I think that there are a couple other issues here. Number one would be looking at and more than likely reworking the job description. So are we pulling any job descriptions from any of the other?
I have not done anything yet, because I was waiting to find out, because if you were to go with a recruitment firm,
They would
they
be able to
would
provide us
do
with
that. They would come in and say, are you looking for someone with a development background? Are you looking for someone with a finance background? What are you guys looking for? And then they would adjust this. As I mentioned, there was some of I know the HR has been a concern just because it's become more and more. As I noted in here, there's some things that I am working on moving over to the accountant, because she's more than capable of doing it, and some of more of the day-to-day things. Now, what other parts of HR you'd want this position to continue to do like I'm doing, or if you want to not have them do that, be part of the discussion.
That's why I think a recruiting firm might be helpful. They might be able to give us some advice on how to structure the job.
And they may say, let's get someone in here and have them doing I don't know what they would say, but that would a possibility too, where they would come in and say, well, this is what I think.
And that would be done by process of RFP, I would assume, to different
Right, what I do
firms?
is I put out, contact the firms that I'm aware of and tell them we'd like it back, their proposal. I mean, I think you essentially tell them, this is happening, give us a proposal, your timeline, your costs, what you propose to do, and ask they have it back by the end of next week, so you guys could look at
Wow.
April 8th meeting, if possible. I mean, if it isn't possible,
Yeah.
it might, or we could have a special finance meeting to,
I think the sooner the better. I'm concerned about the leadership hole after you are gone. It's just going to be kind of
I mean, and there may be some flexibility on the date I gave you. I mean, at this point, I don't know, but maybe if you decide to go with a firm and they give you a timeline, then that would be the time to look at.
So is that the month or the year? And we still haven't really come to I think we probably unofficially have come to a consensus on the human resource director. Maybe not.
separating it.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, I would agree.
I
So
agree.
are we going to try to do a twofer with the consultant, or?
That would probably cost you more. I guess I think what I'd recommend is you get the administrator in here. I mean, you'd still have a couple of months for them to figure out what to do before budget time, is what I'm saying. Because there isn't, more than likely, it wouldn't be till the first of the year, because there isn't, the HR director wasn't budgeted for, or manager, or whatever you're going to call the person, wasn't budgeted for in this year's budget. So if you, for example, got an administrator in here in August or September, you would still have a little bit of time to either do a recruitment or figure out what,
Let
At least
them get
plan
their
for it.
feet wet a little bit, see what
you
the
know.
needs are.
Or maybe you're looking at, as I've talked to a few about, an HR person who does something else as well. Maybe there's another need in some other department, finance, or, we've talked about communications and website and all that. Maybe you can get two things done with one position, I guess is what I'm saying.
When we do the RFP, though, couldn't we say, hey, we want, if you were to just do recruitment or helping with the recruitment for an administrator, and then just ask for a separate one just on HR, just as an option,
That's your call, but again,
just to see what that number is? I don't know.
It's probably a good idea, although I'm thinking that depending on the candidates, the job description for the HR manager may be very different depending on who we choose and their strengths and abilities, because somebody Devin's been doing all sorts of stuff, and so how we divide that up is going to depend on who's the best fit.
I think for the rest of 20, and this is my opinion, but for the rest of 2019, because I'm sliding a lot of the administrative stuff away from this position, and by administrative, I mean the reporting and a lot of the day-to-day stuff, you'd really be looking at more of the HR stuff that would be left would be the recruitment and the oversight and the, more the management type things. So to answer your question, again, I think you might maybe just want to wait until you see what the new person, what their view on it is and what their strengths are. You may get someone with a little bit of an HR background that can do some of it and then figure out, maybe you're just looking at it as an HR specialist, I guess for lack of a better term, not a director, but just someone to handle more of the day-to-day HR stuff. And again, maybe find something else, finance or whatever.
I think I'd agree with you, Joyce and Devin, that let's do this right, the city administrator, let's focus on that, and then after we understand where we're at with that particular person, maybe move forward on splitting the HR duties out and looking for somebody else at that point.
Right, and the other thing too is that could be something when if you go with a recruitment firm and are talking to them about things you're looking for or whatever, you certainly could ask in the questions or at some point find out from the candidates if they have any HR, just so you have that knowledge, and not that that would make or break a candidate or not, but if you've got 2 or 3 candidates that are close and one of them maybe has a little bit of an HR background or has a, an analyst thing where they have had experience in coming into a municipality and looking at structure and that type of thing.
I guess I'm okay with us going that route. I'm a little apprehensive over, sort of defining that role by the person that we have in there versus defining that role for what we want as a council, as a finance.
Defined.
And sort of setting that up and then looking. So, but I get why we would want to wait, and I would agree with that.
The other thing about the HR would be, that might be something that we could contract out if, depending on what the new administrator thinks of that idea as well. So there are a lot of possibilities.
We'll also have it, by the time an administrator gets in here, you'll have had Kathy done it for some or all, a good chunk of it for 3 to 6 months, and then she may also say, okay, now this is maybe too much. I don't think she will,
Okay.
but that'll also give her a little time to figure out what she can and can't handle with the rest of the AR and the AP and all the other things she does. But
All right, so what's your thought? Do we have a motion then for a consultant, or?
I'll make the motion to hire a consultant.
Up to a certain amount? Or just, no?
I guess what you can do is you
Put
can
it
get
out
the,
for
put it out for
RFP.
proposals, and you can look at it, and if you don't want them to do something, then you can just,
Well, I don't want to slow the process. I think we really need.
well, it has to comes back for 2 weeks from now for a contract anyway, so.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
It's under our policy.
Right, but
It's
you're
under
gonna
the
wanna,
15,000 policy.
I understand that, but I think you're gonna wanna pick the firm doing it, aren't you? If we have multiple, because that'll be April 8th,
Yeah.
that's just 2 weeks away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I made the motion to put it out for RFP.
Second.
Motion is second to go for RFP for the administrator position. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Now, I noticed that is not on the agenda for tonight.
No, because I wasn't sure which direction you were gonna go,
So I
so
have to
you
put
guys
that
can
up.
authorize to go, it wasn't on the council agenda.
Oh, this isn't
But
on the council, okay.
you guys can authorize me to go out for RFP, and then I'll bring it back to you and to council, then you'll make a recommendation at
The
finance,
options.
and then it'll come back to council next time for approval.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, future agenda items, anything? Any comments?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, motion.
I did ask for the engineering fees to come. I don't know if that got lost in transition, to go through our engineering.
Okay. I will talk to you about that, just so I can clarify what you're looking for, okay? Okay.
Okay. Anything else? We have a motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's approved. Stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.